Hi everyone, you're listening to Random Sage with Maryann from Revealing Light. I hope everybody is well. Thanks for joining me on my previous episodes of this podcast. It's something that I love doing, and I'm going to go somewhere completely and utterly different this week. I'm going to look at the afterlife and what happens when we actually do pass what I call experience a death and a rebirth. This topic arose because I actually did a spooky Halloween reading for my patrons on my Patreon channel, and I did a shout out for what sort of things do you want to know about, and by and large the majority was around death and dying, the afterlife, and then there was one particular question from a patron: is a ghost permanently or temporarily lost between two worlds, or does it exist in the afterlife and just choose to come here and visit? Have I, Maryann, seen a ghost? And if so, yes, has it ever been a family member? There's big questions there. We'll break it down a little bit. Is a ghost permanently or temporarily lost between two worlds, or does it exist in the afterlife and just come here to visit? I think it's both. I feel even for those that choose to remain earthbound, if I can use that term, there is always still a choice about what they do. Do they evolve? Do they move forward in kind of cliched terms toward the light? Do they go to the light? So I think the choice that an earthbound spirit will make or can make is entirely on their own learning, because they're still earthbound and they still have to learn. If they move toward the light and they join with spirit or God, meet up with their loved ones, then the choices are very simple there, because it's an absolute loving environment. But if that's the case, why do ghosts? Why do people choose to stay on this earth instead of going toward what is an infinitely most beautiful existence in the afterlife? Well, I believe there are a few reasons for that. That you can have unfinished business, where an injustice, a grave injustice may have been committed, and the earthbound spirit is looking for a way to tell the truth, looking for some sort of justice. Others still want to be close to loved ones on this earth, and so they choose to stay close. It can be a loved person, or it can be a loved home, for example, not wanting to leave the earthly realm and their old life. Some of it can be fear what is beyond the light. What happens if I have to do a life review and I've been a terrible person in this life? So there's this fear of, for those who believe in hell, of going to hell. And so they would rather turn away from the light, take their chances in the earthly realms, than move toward the afterlife. I think this next category is probably quite interesting, because some who just don't believe in life everlasting, or life, or the afterlife. They're atheists or agnostic atheist, or both. And you've heard it said, look, there's nothing there but darkness. You hear them say that. One of our most famous media moguls said exactly that. He had a near-death experience and came back and said, no, it was only darkness. It was only darkness. But it's his belief that there's only darkness that was responsible for that, for him seeing what he believed. And so for these type of people, and if you haven't read Eben Alexander's Proof of Heaven, you should. He was a neurosurgeon that did actually die and was put into a coma, and hadn't really believed in the afterlife prior to his death, his near-death experience. And so he had to start to develop his higher consciousness. So he spent this period in darkness to begin with. And then as he started to realize, seek more, want more, believe more, have faith in more, he started then to move up from that darkness to those higher realms. It's an interesting concept, isn't it? What it actually is hell? Is hell this darkness of our own making? You say, something is hell on earth. I've been living hell on earth when things are at their darkest. It's the ability to see, perceive the light, perceive the awareness of light. And what is the light if it's not love, the light of love? In all these cases, in these earthbound spirits, the learning goes on while they're earthbound. If someone is attached to a home, for example, that they lived in, new people will move in. Perhaps they don't even know that they've passed away. They're living in this in-between state where time is almost, well, time as we know it is still. However, the time is measured through their awareness, their growing awareness. Perhaps new people move on, or move into their home. Perhaps they suddenly look around and realize their attachment to this place. Perhaps they long to be reunited with their loved ones. Whatever that heartfelt desire is, they will manifest something that will open up and allow them to, as we so often say, move toward the light. But it's like a state for earthbound spirits. It's like a state of chrysalis as a transformation takes place. The other part of the question that I thought was quite interesting was, do spirits come and go? Absolutely. And the best example of this is your loved ones. They will come and visit you when your grief is not so overpowering and your vibration is reasonably high. They will be allowed, that then allows them to come through and communicate with you. I feel that our loved ones are close by when we need them the most, when we need their strength, watching over us, communicating with us in whatever way they can, whatever way they're allowed to, just sending us love, sending us their strength, allowing us to know that they're nearby. They're never very far away from us, and the thing that connects us is the love we had for them and the love they had for us. How do I know any of this? Well, I've experienced a lot of it. The part of the question asked, do I see ghosts? I do. I see what I would call apparitions physically with my own eyes. I see and feel the orbs that show up in my videos. I have clairaudience, so I hear a lot. I have had my passed over parents speak to me clairaudiently, warn me actually. I also perceive passed over or spirit clairvoyantly as well. So I might see the outline of spirit in a room, and straight away, if I activate my third eye, I will see the image of who that person is. Sometimes I have seen shadow people. And I don't mean shadow people as in being afraid of shadow people. I mean perhaps somebody that maybe just looks over you, and our earthly eyes are perceiving a darkness rather than a light. I've sat at my relative's deathbed, and I've seen both the miracles and much harshness, much to be sad about occur as well, when deaths have been particularly painful and drawn out. However, I do know that I believe I have witnessed that people know when they're going to pass. They know the hour of their passing. In both my parents' case, they knew when they would pass. In some cases, they waited before they passed, before they let go. In others, they waited till I was no longer in the room and then passed, telling me to go, and then they passed, knowing that whatever last images I had of them would be one of living, not death. So what happens when we pass? We have that belief. We have attained a level of evolution, because that's why we're here in this life, to evolve and to move into our higher expression of our higher selves. What happens when we pass? Many documented near-death experiences all have the same thing in common. Those that pass over are met by loved ones who either shepherd you or take you toward the light. Sometimes they're waiting beyond the light for you to welcome you home. And I have visited the afterlife on the ancestral plane. And I have come to what I would call home, and I have been greeted by many faces I didn't know, but told me wordlessly I was part of their soul family, and they were overjoyed to greet me, overjoyed. So much love radiating, so much belonging, so much. It was beautiful. So we shouldn't fear the afterlife. We shouldn't fear earthbound spirits. We just need to approach that in the right way. Approach it with understanding, awareness, and love. That the intention that we, if you are having psychic experiences, you are picking up on ghosts. We've just come off the back of Halloween, when the veil was at its thinnest. I was seeing spirit all the time in the 24 hours on either side of Halloween. It was quite, well, it would have been unnerving if I had have feared it, but it was quite, it was welcome and at the same time very interesting for me when I perceived so much light. If you are having experiences, don't fear them. Go in there with the right intention to love, with the light of awareness. Because that is what, again, could make a difference to an earthbound spirit experiencing that light. It is a difficult time in the world at the moment, and my previous podcasts step us through that in the Middle East. There probably are people who are wondering, well, how can spirit allow so much innocent suffering, innocent deaths, thousands and thousands and thousands, 1,700, I think, Israelis, 9,000 Palestinians, many of these on both sides, children. How can this happen? Very hard to find a good answer for that. However, I do know that when the worst of things occur in our lives, it's generally because we've chosen that when we've come into this life. It's part of our blueprint that we signed up to before we came here, and that everything has meaning and everything has purpose, even if we can't see that purpose at this time. Perhaps the unification between the Arabs, the Arab populations and the Western populations, all calling for the same thing, and the Jews who are calling for ceasefire and the end of bloodshed, all those calls for peace. Perhaps it is now, perhaps it is this time when a two-state solution is possible. If it's not possible now, I don't know when it will be. Okay, so let's have a look at why should we have no fear of death. I'm using the, what is it, the Golden Universal Tarot deck. Let's give the deck a really good shuffle. Why should we have no fear? No fear. Why should we have no fear of dying? Why should there be no fear of dying? Please show me clearly. Why should we have no fear of dying? Why should we have no fear of dying? And I want to say that Spirit's giving me an image that at the point of death, I think the soul actually does leave the body. And wouldn't be the first clairvoyant medium, psychic medium to say there's a level of protection for those that face violent death, in that they are taken from their body at the time of the attack and do not suffer. That is what I'm seeing. So why should we have no fear of death? Show me clearly, please. Why should we have no fear? It's a victory. As what I'm seeing, it's a victory. It's wish fulfillment. It's our desires fulfilled. It is always our desire bred into us to go home to our real families, our passed over loved ones, those that we may have spent countless other lifetimes with that we don't even perceive with these earthly eyes. It is a wish fulfilled to return home. At the time of passing, there are decisions to make. Maybe that's why people fear that, because they know they have to make a decision to accept and to give and receive love. It is unity. It is unity with our loved ones. I'm holding up the Two of Cups. The contracts that we made to love those of our earthly family and our soul families. We leave the abuse of the being human inevitably brings. Remember that we are here to learn how not to abuse our power, how to manage others that may be abusing theirs. It's all a learning, how not to take from anyone else. It's all a learning curve. But that's in the past for those that choose to head toward the light. We have beautiful, with that Queen of Pentacles there, we have everything we need. It is actually like, as you would imagine, a beautiful garden. Whatever your vision of abundance and having everything you need, whatever your vision is, yours might be different to mine, but that's what's waiting for us. We have perfect equilibrium with the Temperance angel showing up. Emotional peace, emotional equilibrium, and security. There is no insecurity and no emotional despair in the afterlife. Some say here I have the Six of Swords, that old, I think it's Roman or Greek mythology about crossing the river Styx and going to the underworld. This is about the crossing, and it is moving out of our earthly troubled waters toward a state of perfection. However, I continue to pick up with the Seven of Cups that the choice about where we go and how we go, to which state we go to. When I say state, some of us might not be ready to ascend to the higher states, may choose to do work at a certain level. Some of us may choose to be earth angels, for example, or guides to our loved ones that are left behind. It is about choices and making the right choices when we pass over. There is nothing to fear. This is the wheel of fortune in the hopes and fears. Those that hope for that, believe in that, have faith in that. Your faith and belief is well founded. And we get to work with others to create something absolutely beautiful. I don't think we just go into the afterlife and sit round all day. We are still in service to others in the afterlife, working with others, creating with others, building with others. Bravery, courage, stepping forward. Will speed the journey to the afterlife. No fear. Remember, I said fear can hold you back. Believe. And there's the Six of Wands. Why should we have no fear? Because it is a victory to leave our, earthly coils behind, to leave this earthly life and move to something beautiful, to heaven, if that's what you want to call it. All right, that's the podcast for today. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll be back again with another podcast soon. You're listening to Random Sage with Maryann from Revealing Light.